It's very pretty, isn't it? Many people would walk past this painting and think nothing of it. Although all the paintings in this gallery have their own rich history, this one in particular has a very interesting background. Care for an explanation? Edvard Munch painted 3 versions of this painting, one in 1895 with the other 2 being made around the same year, 1916. The version in front of you is the one from 1895, although personally I prefer the first rendition of it. Bleak colours surrounded by a yellow glow, this version stuck true to its name, Love and Pain. These colours focused more on the love side of things, a red-haired woman embracing the man she loves, letting his weary eyes hide in her arms, her lips on his neck. As she caressed his arm, she held him there, away from the pains and the worries of the world. Edward, well, he thought that his intentions were clear. Despite that, his friend Stainslow thought of a different interpretation altogether. During an art exhibit, his friend saw it and claimed it as the painting of a vampire. When asked why, he said the painting, well, it depicted a man who has become submissive, and on his neck a biting vampire's face. Edward didn't see what his friend saw. He insisted that it was nothing more than just a woman kissing a man on the neck. What Edvard Munch failed to realize was that Stainslow's poetic side took over his senses. In spite of his explanation, Love and Pain lost its title and soon after was named Vampire. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Matteo. I've been browsing the gallery for quite some time now. I've been trying to start up conversations with strangers who seem just as interested in paintings as I am. Regretfully, though, most of them ignore what I say or walk off after I finished my explanation. No, I'm not an art student. I'm a literature professor by trade. I guess that does explain the dramaticism. Then again, how can you have a conversation about art be so, well, simple and devoid of expressive language? I don't fancy many artists, but I still take interest in paintings and such. I like John Singer Sargent and the man who drew this painting in front of us. I don't know much about Edvard Munch since I've admired him from afar. He shared many qualities with a dear friend of mine. He was prolific yet perpetually troubled. He would often think of human mortality, chronic illnesses, sexual liberation, and religious aspirations. He would often go on and on about his fixations once he's under the influence of alcohol. What about you? Do you have anyone you admire? Not much to note of. That's okay. Sometimes certain galleries don't have the pieces you're looking for. Are there any particular subjects you fancy? Would the supernatural be something you're interested in? Perhaps something along the lines of vampires? You'd be surprised how many works have been dedicated to vampires over the years, starting off as literature subjects, slowly making their way into music, and finally into visual mediums. There's been a firm belief in vampires as early as the 17th century and as recent as the 19th century, with many people claiming to have met them, some describing them as freaks of nature with body proportions that only the imagination can fill. Others compared their beauty to that of a siren, beautiful creatures of the night that never aged, eyes glowing red with fangs well hidden underneath those lips. No matter which time period they were seen in, they will always be described as charming, deceptive, and patient. That patience of theirs being perfect when it comes to stalking their prey relentlessly into the night. Do you believe in vampires? Not a belief, but a keen interest. That's true. If vampires were such a danger to humanity, why would the world embrace them in its shadows? I apologize for getting all poetic again. I can't help it. But what I'm trying to say is that if they truly existed, why is the evidence linked to them simply a hypothesis, not a fact, not real but fiction? You seem rather interested. Don't worry about it. Topics like these have already been explored by many mediums. I mean, look at this art piece before us. The very existence of its interpretation gave birth to the conversation we are having. What about me? Well, I also developed an interest in them over the years. At first, I thought of their existence as fiction. There was no way that such creatures were allowed to intermingle with the likes of mankind. As time went on, more and more evidence came out and supported the notion of their existence. I seem interested in their existence? Of course, I can't help but talk about them. They are one of my many favorite creatures. Something about vampires seemed to pull me in, as if I can almost relate to them. Relate might be a strong word, but nonetheless true. If you don't mind me being so bold with you, today marks the launch of my private gallery. I had absolutely no idea how to manage such an event, so I've come here to run away from my responsibilities. If my extensive knowledge of these paintings isn't enough of a telltale sign, I would like to reveal that I am in fact a collector of the arts myself. Thank you. Your kind words are much appreciated, but I was wondering, would you like to attend a launch party? Yes, of course I would love to have you there, especially someone so perfect for the occasion. Oh, don't be silly now. Of course you belong there. Everyone is welcome to attend. Besides, won't it be a fun little experience for you to view the pieces that are not available here? Yes, you could look them up on the internet. However, when presented the opportunity to view them in person and feel the age of them with your hands, wouldn't you say that such a thing is priceless? Here, let me write down the place for you. The place is called the Black Piglet, located east-west from the Berlin Palace. Rent would have been expensive, but thankfully, I managed to buy the land before it became too expensive. Seems like I've got to go now. I've overstayed my welcome here. Not that I mind, since I've met someone like you. Right then, I'll be on my way to help set up the launch. I look forward to seeing you later at 8 PM, alright? Take care. I'm happy you didn't make me wait too long. Sorry for scaring you. I happened to be attending to some guests as you walked in. Yes, I am very much pleased by the turnover, but I'm even more pleased by your arrival. Come on then, come with me. I have something to show you. This is a part of the show that I haven't opened to the public yet. Because this place is still incomplete. You know that feeling you get when everything is in place, but something in the back of your mind is telling you that you're missing something. You're trying to tell yourself that it's not important, that it's just your mind overthinking, when in reality it's your gut, the perfectionist within you screaming at you to fill in the missing link. And that's what I'm feeling right now. What do you think? Looks a little shabby. I haven't installed the decorations as of yet, so it looks more like a wine cellar than a place to display art. One thing to know about me is that I am a very particular man about the things that I choose to display. What you see in this gallery has been meticulously curated by me and me alone. I've collected all these throughout the years, some of them being from my family's personal collection, and the others bought from auction houses. We have everything from Ambrogio Alciati's The Kiss, Michael McNell's Vampire Woman, which is a more recent piece considering the time period. We also have the unknown painter that drew Count Vlad Dracula's portrait. If you follow me this way, you'll see a small section titled Familia, pieces drawn by members of my family for generations. Our progenitor sought to teach us about the vampires and their existence. He believed that they didn't just pop out of nowhere. They acted more like invasive species that started to infect the land one by one. Catching prey back then was far easier in the 17th century. Nevertheless, the promise of immortality and superhuman strength still acts as a valuable bargaining chip when convincing someone to become one of them. Would I have taken the offer? Perhaps. Perhaps if the circumstances were different, then yes, I would have. I get to travel the world more, paint more, and learn more things. It is quite sad that a human vessel cannot contain my ambitions. Perhaps that's why I'm more inclined to accept that offer willingly. I apologize for dampening the mood. Here, let me show you some pieces I've made. A man with blood dripping from each side of his mouth. A bruised hand that is covering his eyes. I named this piece, The Purple That Blinds the Red. It depicts a man who had an insatiable appetite that couldn't be controlled. Every part of his body was boiling as he sat there looking at her. She was clueless. She looked at the man and thought that he was interested in her. She was right. He was, but for all the wrong reasons. What did he do? The screams in his blood echoed into his mind. What he would have seen as a friend, perhaps maybe even a lover, he now saw as nothing more than cattle. He approached her to lure them into his palms. He walked her home. He walked her to art classes. He ate with her. He laughed with her. He loved her. And finally, after weeks of deception, in a dark alleyway once her guard was down, and both of their emotions high, he struck her and fed on her blood. He hated the taste of it at first, but his blood was drawn to it. Every time he would feed, he would experience ecstasy at the same level as the victims, but the guilt would haunt him deeply. That's at least what I wrote as a backstory. I wanted it to fit in with the others in this room, so I went a little dark and twisted with it. What do you think? Do you think it fits? Even if you don't know the history behind each of these paintings, feel free to ask, and I'll happily regale you with tales of their history, their backgrounds, and their love, and all sorts of stuff. Go on then. Is there anything that is piquing your interest? Anything in this room? Go on. That's not just a wooden chair. In the late 19th century, there was a man that got to be known as the most well-documented vampire of all time. He would be seen in the backgrounds of numerous photos, ranging from theme parks, streets, and even along the roofs of houses. Interestingly, he wasn't only seen in one country. The sighting started in Rome, Italy, and then moved on to Whitechapel, London, United Kingdom. There were even attempts to tie together the murder cases of Jack the Ripper with this vampire, but that was both fruitless and ridiculous, as he would never kill his prey, but would only incapacitate them for a short period of time. Now, what does all that have to do with this wooden chair? A straight grain walnut chair. Though simple in appearance, was his most prized possession. He would sit on this chair and feed on his prey. No, it wasn't gruesome at all. On the contrary, it was very mindful. He was careful of his movements, the way that he would invite them. He would sit down facing them, and then offer a hand to ask them to sit on his lap. Would you mind helping me with this part? Once they sat down, he would cover the both of them in a thin veil, just like this. Under the dimmed lights of the veil, before he bites, he would utter the following words. L'amore si trova tanto sotto, la lana c'è sotto la setta. The faces you make are almost as enjoyable as you taste. I wonder how many faces we can have you make by the end of the night. They say that the eating habits of a vampire are tied to their death. They will look for anything resembling their life prior to their demise. Those who used to be writers will seek out other writers. Those who are divers will hunt around the sea. They can taste home within you. They taste the future that could have been, a life that once was. Some blood tend to be thick and bitter, They tend to dry out your mouth. Some smoky, yet angular. Those tend to be my favorite. One that I seek for often. An aroma so irresistible, one could call it a pheromone. I wonder what life I must have had to be drawn to such beautiful crimson like yours. Though I've consumed many like you in the past, I still find myself having a difficult time controlling the urge that wants to take over. However, one cannot be hasty with their meal, especially when they are as delectable, delicate, and fragile as you. One wrong move, one wrong word, and your blood might be far too ruined for consumption. From the moment my fangs have entered your neck, a numbing agent started to flow into your body. A warm sensation will envelop you as your body relaxes, with your veins expanding to increase the blood flow. Typically, increased blood flow would be terrible. However, under these circumstances, in this very moment, it is perfectly expected, enhancing each and every sensation you yearn for. As long as we're under this veil, your desires are my command. Is there anything that you seek? Any pleasures you've longed for? Oh, no. Look at me. I can't have my betrothed leave unsatisfied, especially when you provide me with such pleasures. You've never been treated like this before, have you? Such eyes like mine that hunger for every fiber of your being. You're not used to being admired, highly regarded, or seen as a special entity that serves a purpose only you could fulfill. Even in this moment, in my arms held with blood dripping out of your neck, you have thoughts of doubt and worry, wondering if you truly are as special as I claim you to be. Are you saying that a man as particular as I am has chosen to feed on lesser blood? That I made the wrong choice when picking out the one I choose to feed on? Let it be known that I make no such mistakes, and the fact that you even thought of that is both an insult to my pride and your worth. For every part of you I yearn for, even those I do not feed on. A younger me would have looked at you as cattle, but a much older me sees more. You cannot hide the truth from me. Every thought you've ever had, every memory and every need, I can see it. In your blood I sense all that you are. You hide behind such saint-like behaviors, listening to the words of people who could care less for your state of mind. They would sleep and indulge themselves as you wither in your bed thinking about them. But why? How much longer can you pretend to be as pure as you think you are? Those dark thoughts, they dance in the corners of your mind, growing stronger and stronger, getting harder and harder to keep them in check. That part of you that you'd rather not indulge in is screaming at you to let it live. So how about it? Tell me, what do you desire? What vile fantasy would you like me to fulfill? If you were to abandon all notions of what it means to be human and righteous, what desires would form from it?